So at the top of page 10, you'll see a title that says More Transformation. So these are just transform just simply means to change. So we're going to be taking some lines. They're going to give you an equation like in number 1. It says y equals 2x minus 5. And then they're going to ask you to make a transformation. That means they're going to ask you to change the line. So the vocabulary here is the first transformation is called a translation. And that simply means you either move the line up or down. And when we move the line up or down, we're adding or subtracting from the y-intercept. Okay? A reflection, and you can reflect over either the x-axis or the y-axis. So right here it says a reflection across the y-axis means you change the sign of the slope. Now, changing the sign of the slope simply means you change to its opposite sign. So you might even want to write in there opposite sign. So that simply means if the slope is negative, you're going to change it to positive and vice versa. Okay, you keep the same y-intercept. So I'm just going to put B because you guys should know that B is the y-intercept, so you don't have to write it out. So you're going to keep B the same, but you do change the sign of the slope. If you are reflecting over the x-axis, you change the sign of the slope and the y-intercept to its opposite sign. Okay, so again, you might want to write opposite sign. Now, we're really not going to be doing dilations, but really you would multiply each number, but we're not going to be doing a dilation. So let's skip down to question number 1. So in number 1, it says, first we're going to have to graph. Now I'm going to show you how you graph a line just using the slope and y-intercept. We don't have to graph now using a t-table from the graphing calculator. We can just simply start with the y-intercept. Okay, that's your b. Because remember, these are in the form of y equals mx plus b. So think of b as your beginning point. So just think of b as the beginning point. So that's your y-intercept. So if my y-intercept is negative 5, I'm going to go on the y-axis to negative 5, which is here. Okay, so that's where we're going to begin, because that's my b. And then I'm going to do the slope. Slope is rise over run, and this is a positive 2. And remember, when you don't see the number at the bottom, it's a 1. So that means from here, I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go over 1. Now, do that again. Go up 2. That's your rise over 1. And there's your other point. So try to get at least 3 points if you can, right? So now I'm going to draw that line. Just connect the dots. So there's my original line. Okay, I haven't done anything with it. I just simply graphed it. Now I'm going to make the transformation, which says to translate this 8 units up. So 8 units up means I'm just going to slide this line up 8 units. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write down my original line. I'm going to add 8 to the y-intercept to b. So my new line will be y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, because all you do is, since it says I'm translating up, that means you're adding to the y-intercept. Now you could also start at negative 5 right here and just count up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And sure enough, I do end up right at positive 3 on the y. Okay. So you can do it that way, okay, or you can just simply add the 8 to the original problem to get your new equation. Now I need to finish graphing it, of course. So I did start with my b, which was at positive 3, so that's the point you see on the graph. right here. Now I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Okay. Up 2 over 1. Connect the dots. And now I have just changed the line, moving that 8 units up from its original position. All right, so let's take a look at number 2. So if I'm going down, I'm going to subtract from the y-intercept, but let's graph it first. So our beginning point here is at 3. And then my slope is 2/3, so I'm going to go up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. Now, you could also do a double negative if you wanted to. You could actually go down 2, that's negative, and then to the left 3, that's negative. Okay, you can also do that. And notice the point still ends up right on the line. Okay, so you can do that as well. So if you want to do a double negative, you would just go down 2 to the left 3. That's a double negative, which makes it a positive. So now I'm going to rewrite my original equation. And I'm going to subtract 4. So now my new transformation equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 1. I could have also done this, start at positive 3 and count down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see that I would end up at negative 1 on the y. All right, so I'm going to do my slope again. Okay, count up 2 over 3. I can also go down 2 and then over 3. Okay, connect them. And they should definitely be parallel to one another. Okay, you'll learn later that slopes that lines that have the same slope are considered parallel lines. Okay, because the slope doesn't change, only the y-intercept. All right, any questions so far? All right, so let's go back to the top because the number 3 is asking us to reflect over the x-axis. So let's go back up to the top, and right here it tells you how to reflect across the x-axis. Change the sign of the slope and the y-intercept to its opposite sign. So let's go down. So I already know, here's my original. What will my transformation equation look like if I have to change the sign of both? Yes. Very good. So y equals negative 2x plus 5. So now I'm going to graph the original first. So where do I begin? What's my beginning point? Negative 5. Okay, that's my beginning point. And then I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Connect your dots. So that is your original. And now I'm going to do the transformation one, reflecting over the x. So I'm going to start at positive 5. And I'm going to go down 2 for negative. And I'm not going to do a double negative and like go down and left. I'm going to go down and then over to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. I could also go up 2, which is positive, and then go to the left 1, which is negative. Okay. And as long as you know the rule is not difficult to do, and you will be required to memorize the rule. So if I ask you to reflect over x, you have to know which one of these numbers you have to change, or both. All right, let's do the next one, which is reflecting over the y-axis. All right. So if I reflect over the y-axis, so go back and look at your rule and tell me what would the transformation equation look like if I'm reflecting over the y. And who can tell me what the equation would be? So I'm reflecting over the y. Yes. All right. Do you guys agree? Is it minus 5? All right. So let's look at the rule to be sure. So it says if you're reflecting over the y, it says you change the sign of the what? Alrighty, so I'm not changing the y-intercept. What am I changing? Right, I'm changing the slope. So what is the correct answer? Positive 2x plus 5. Is that correct? Right, so actually the y-intercept stays the same. You do change the sign of the slope. So let's go ahead and graph the original first. So I'm going to start at positive 5. And then I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. And that's my original. Okay, then I'll do the transformation one. I'm going to start at positive 5 again. And this time I'm going to go, I can do a double negative and go down, but to the right 1. Could also go up to the right and actually down and to the left. That's what I meant to say. Okay, graph that. And there's your reflecting over the y. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at number 5. In number 5, it has to be written in slope-intercept form first. So we do need to solve this equation for y. So let's solve this for y, and you can solve it on your own and then check with me to see if you have it correct. All right, so you should have y equals to 3/2 x minus 2. Okay. So I'm going to graph the original, and the original starts at negative 2. And then I'm going to go up 3 over 2. Up 3 over 2. And this one says to translate it up 3. So that means I'm adding 3 to the y-intercept. So when I do that, my new equation will be y equals 3/2 x plus 1. So now I'm going to start at positive 1. I'm going to go up 3 over 2. Up 3 over 2. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to number 6. Actually, I'm going to have you guys do this one on your own. So first, solve it for y, and then I want you to reflect this over the x-axis. Okay, we'll do the last one together. Okay, so this one you'll do on your own. All right, so who can tell me what the equation, the new equation would be if I reflect this over the x-axis? Okay, I've already solved it for y, so what is my transformation equation? Yes. All right, very good. So y equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. So if you're reflecting over the x-axis, you should be changing both. Okay, I'm not going to graph that one. Let's take a look at these. So who can tell me what the equation would be? Because again, you change both when you're reflecting over x. So what is my new equation for this one? Y equals what? Yes. All right, 4x minus 2. Very good. And then what will it be if I'm reflecting over y? Yes. Very good. Okay. So then, of course, you would graph all three. You would have 3 lines on that particular one. So you guys know how to graph now, so I'll leave that part up to you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what you're going to be doing for classwork and for your